All right, today we're going to jump right into the art of spotting bad arguments. We're going to give you the tools you need to see through all the sneaky logic that gets thrown at us every single day.
You know that feeling, right? You're listening to someone talk. Maybe it's in an ad, a debate, or just a conversation, and this little voice in your head goes, wait a second, something about that just doesn't add up.
Yeah, you should definitely trust that gut feeling. The problem is, a lot of these weak arguments are dressed up to sound perfectly reasonable. They're built on really shaky ground, and they're designed to get you to jump to a conclusion before you've had a chance to really think about it.
And this is where we get to the main idea for today, a fallacy. The word itself comes from Latin, fallacia, and it literally means deception or trick. And that's exactly what a fallacy is. It's basically a trick of logic, a sleight of hand that makes a weak argument seem strong. So let's get into it and learn how to spot them.
Okay, so first up, let's talk about a couple of fallacies that are all about messing up cause and effect. They create these really convincing but totally flawed links between events. And honestly, they're super easy to fall for if you're not paying close attention.
First on our list is the false cause fallacy. And what's so wild about this one is how simple the trick is. It's all based on this idea that if event A happened right before event B, well, then A must have caused B. But here's the thing, just because something came first doesn't mean it caused what came next.
And, this is a classic example we've all probably heard or even thought. I wore my lucky socks, I got an A, so obviously it was the socks. It sounds kind of silly when you say it out loud, but our brains make these kinds of connections all the time.
Okay, so what's really going on here? Well, the argument just totally ignores the most obvious reason for the good grade. You know, studying. The socks, they were just along for the ride. It was a coincidence. So the key is to always ask yourself, wait, is there a better, more logical reason this happened?
All right, building on that, let's look at the next one. This is the slippery slope. This is that classic argument where someone claims one tiny little step is going to set off this unstoppable chain reaction, this avalanche of terrible, extreme consequences.
And oh boy, this is the perfect way to see it in action. Just look at this chain of logic. We allow gum in class, okay. That leads to snacks, which leads to full meals, and suddenly it's the complete and total end of all learning. Really, each step is just a bigger and bigger exaggeration, with zero proof. It's not a slippery slope at all. It's a cliff of bad logic.
Okay, let's switch gears a bit. The next couple of fallacies we're going to look at have a totally different problem. Not enough proof. These are the arguments that grab one tiny little piece of evidence and try to stretch it like a rubber band to cover a massive conclusion.
And that leads us right into what's called a hasty generalization. This is what happens when somebody takes like one or two tiny examples and then blows it up into this huge universal rule about everything in that category.
You see this all the time with food, right? I tried sushi one time and it was gross. Therefore, all sushi on planet Earth is disgusting. See how big of a jump that is? The conclusion is enormous, but the evidence it's based on is tiny.
Okay, hold on, because this is super important. People get these last two mixed up all the time. Let's break it down. False cause is all about time and sequence. It's confusing after this with because of this. Hasty generalization, on the other hand, is about quantity. It's confusing one example with the whole group. That's a really key difference to remember.
All right, let's get to our last fallacy for today, and it's a big one, the false dilemma. Sometimes you'll hear it called the either-or fallacy, and it's a really sneaky tactic. It's when someone presents just two options, usually two extremes, as if they're the only choices you have.
The whole point is to back you into a corner. Look at this. Either you come to my birthday party, or you're not really my friend. Whoa. All of a sudden, a simple scheduling thing has become this giant black and white test of your entire friendship. It's designed to leave no room for nuance.
But come on, we all know life isn't that simple, right? And this is exactly what that argument is trying to make you forget. Of course, there are tons of other possibilities. Maybe you were sick, or out of town, or just couldn't get a ride. The fallacy works by just pretending none of those other reasons exist.
So there you have it. In just a few minutes, we've broken down 4 of the most common logical tricks out there. But, just knowing their names is only the first step. The real goal is to turn this knowledge into a practical toolkit you can use anytime, anywhere.
And here's the best part. This is your new toolkit, your BS detector, right? So next time you hear a strange argument, just run it through these simple questions. Ask yourself, Is A really causing B, or did it just happen first? Is this chain of events even remotely realistic? Is there enough proof for such a big claim? And hey, are there really only two options on the table?
Okay, so now it's your turn. Time to put this new toolkit to the test. And I'll leave you with this question. Can you think back to a time when someone hit you with a false dilemma? What were those other choices, the hidden options, that they just conveniently left out? Think about it, because the more you practice spotting these tricks, the harder you'll be to fool.